245.
More about Jesus I would know, more of His grace to others show, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me. More about Jesus, let me learn, more of His holy will discern. Spirit of God, my teacher be, show Him the things of Christ to me. More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me.
Nadisha on our own.
More about Jesus in His world, whole in communion with my Lord, more of His care in every line, making each faithful say in
All
mine.
together now.
More about Jesus, more about Jesus, more of His saving fullness see, more of His love who died for me.
More about Jesus on His throne, riches in glory, all His own. More of His kingdom, sure increase. More of His coming, Prince of Peace. More about Jesus. More about Jesus. More of His saving fullness see. More of His love who died for me.
I will sing of Jesus' love, number 183. I will sing of Jesus' love.
I will sing of Jesus' love, sing of Him who first loved me, for He left bright clouds above and died on Calvary. I will sing of Jesus' love, endless, endless praise. My heart shall give. He has died that I might live. I will sing His love to me. Oh, the depths of love divine, utterance can never
do
we
another
go
one.
through safely through
Yeah.
another week.
That's good.
384. Safely through another week, God has brought us on our way. Let us now a blessing see, waiting in His courts today. Day of all the week, the best emblem of eternal rest. Day of all the week, the best emblem of eternal rest. While we seek supplies of grace through a day, Redeemer's name, show thy reconciling face, take away our sin and shame. From all worldly cares set free, may we rest this day in Thee. From all worldly cares set free, may we rest this day in Thee. When the morn shall bid us rise, may we feel Thy presence near. May Thy glory meet our eyes while we in Thy house appear. Ear afford us, Lord, that taste of her everlasting feast. Hear afford us, Lord, that taste of her everlasting feast. May the gospel joyful sound conquer sinners, comfort saints, make the fruits of grace abound, bring relief to all complaints. Thus may all our Sabbaths be, till we rise to reign with Thee. Thus may all our Sabbaths be, till we rise to reign with Thee. Amen.
Well done, Jordan. Right, okay, so we have with us today a very close friend of mine. Sister Michelle, you want to bring me the stand here? Okay, today we have a very, very close friend. Actually, we're brothers. Well, if he doesn't think we're brothers, I think so. I've known Peter for quite a long time. And every church I've pastored, Peter has actually come. And Peter has made a presentation for me on different topics. Actually, he's actually a fantastic preacher too. He doesn't think so. He thinks he's a speaker. So I'm definitely having, later on in the year, he's going to come and preach for us and do a special day. So Peter was trained in the beautiful island of Cuba. He's from Barbados, and he recognized that Jamaica was the better island, so he married somebody from Jamaica. So he's quite a well-traveled person. I mean, obviously he speaks Spanish, but he's a very good doctor. And then he decided, I want to be a GP. So outside of the fact that he was trained in one of the most, and a lot of people don't know this, that Cuba is medical is one of the most advanced, has one of the best medical systems. As a matter of fact, I was reading the other day, Peter, that that they were actually administering they made their own vaccine in Cuba. So if you notice, the corona rate in Cuba is actually very, very low. So Peter was trained there. I know you live in the States, lived in Jamaica, lived in Barbados, now living in UK. Peter has 2 children. One is trying to be a professional footballer. Don't tell Peter I said that, right? And given is she's in the top in tennis top. What's your number, 1 or 2? Top 100, right? So Given plays tennis, and Charmaine is a professional math teacher, very good math teacher. If you need somebody to teach you math online, not advertising for her, but Charmaine is actually an excellent math teacher. She's from the parish of Portland. I know I had to say that because Sister Bishop. That's why I deliberately said that. So Peter is from the beautiful island of Barbados, as I said, and we have been very close for quite some time. When I have my own personal medical issue, I call him for free. It's good to have a friend like Peter. But so Peter is coming to share with us. I know we have people online. You can ask your questions, okay? If you're online, just type your questions in, and you'll take those questions at the appropriate time. I saw the number online ticking up a lot. As a matter of fact, on Croydon website, your presentations still, in terms of medical, are the highest. I think it's the way you relate and the fact that you're very practical and you empower us as listeners to participate in the conversation. All right, so I'm going to invite him back. So look out for this to happen again. He's going to preach next time and also make a presentation. So Dr. Roach, Dr. Peter Roach, welcome to West Croydon. This is just a fragment of our membership, but I'm sure the good news will spread. Thank you, sir.
Well, good evening, everyone. Well, even though the numbers are sparse in the church, we want to be still giving thanks for whoever is here, because you know somebody, don't you? And somebody knows somebody. And online, the online auditorium, La Gente in Cuba, Barbados, Jamaica, parts of the States, right here in England, we have a crew also listening online, so we want to welcome them as well. And I'm certain members from this church, rather than coming out a little postprandial effect, are logging into their systems at home and taking a look. Yes? I think the control room was supposed to bring me a clicker so that I can go through the presentation. And today we're going to be talking about high blood pressure. High blood pressure. And as the clicker comes, thank you, Sam. All right. I'm just trying to work out how this clicker works here. I turned it on. Good. All right. Very good. Down one. Down one. All right. So, we're going to be talking about high blood pressure. And before we get cracking, we're just going to say a quick word of prayer. Okay? Let's all bow our heads. Dear Lord, thank you for this opportunity that we can share with folks from anywhere in the world at any time a bit of basic information, but very important. Help that whatever they're taking today will be useful in some way, and they can tell somebody and help someone to have a better outcome in their health, for Christ's sake. Amen. All right, so high blood pressure. And if you notice, there's a little part there that is very, very tiny. Right there. It says silent killer. And I put it really small on purpose because we don't have a clue sometimes when we have high blood pressure. And you want to ask yourself straight away, am I at risk? Am I at risk? Are you at risk? What's your name? Pardon me? Natisha. And you are? John. Natisha and John. And the lady from Portland? Higher things. And there's Madeline and there's Charmaine and these guys online. I'm going to ask you some questions too. So, am I at risk? You're asking yourself. And at risk from what? High blood pressure. Now, see how quickly. Very good. Before we dive into this really big topic that we're going to make super simple, we're going to talk about what it is. So this high blood pressure, all it is the pressure that your blood within the blood vessels exert on the blood vessels. How much pressure is within the blood vessels is called high blood pressure when it's above a certain measurement. Once it goes past a certain measurement, it's called high blood pressure. And we'll get into those numbers shortly. But the reason why it's such a big topic is because it affects so many people, and more than half of them don't have a clue they have high blood pressure until it's too late. So take, for example, right here in the UK, these are the 2015 figures, so it must be more by now after the corona episodes. There are about 31% of men and 26% of women who have high blood pressure. Notice it's higher for the men. We're going to, I'm certain you'll come up with some ideas as to why men have higher blood pressure. And unfortunately, as we get older, as you start to creep up past middle age and get into your 60s, then women and men, the risk and the prevalence and the amount in the society goes up and up and up. So if you're past that, you should be checking all now. So worldwide, about 7 billion people in the world, more than 1.5 billion people has high blood pressure. And let's dive into the money. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry because the pharmaceutical companies are making zillions on medication for you. So that is why it's such a big topic. You have high blood pressure, you're making somebody else rich because you have to spend money at the doctor, you have to spend money buying medication, you have to spend money, and ultimately your family will be spending money if things don't get well for you. It's as simple as that. So what happens normally? So if we look at this diagram, it's just a basic diagram. I'm trying to keep everything simple because not everybody is scientifically grounded, but we just want to help you to understand what's going on. If we look at this diagram here, we will see that this is a circulation of the whole body. Right there in the middle of the chest is the heart, and the red is the arteries that go to the limbs, right down the legs and up to the brain, and the blue is the venous return that goes back to the heart, and the circulation goes all around like that. I didn't put in all the organs. There's a lot of organs that are here. Liver, kidney, spleen, all the intestines, lungs, and all of these are supplied by the blood. The blood goes every single place. And it goes in vessels. And in these vessels, we have to keep the pressure at a certain amount, or all the organs that fit in this body, including your limbs and your brain, can be affected. That is the long and short of the story. Keep the pressure at a certain level, and you'll be okay. All right. Just making sure this clicker is ticking. Again, even more basic diagram where we see the heart, the lungs, we see all the return. Okay, we move on from that. I just want to give you an idea of what happens within the circulatory system. Okay. Looks like there are a few technical issues there. Next one. All right. We talked about that already. These are the numbers that we need to be getting familiar with. Everyone here say 120 on 80. Say that. And you online, you're home saying it as well. 120 on 80. Say it again. Right. So when you go to the doctor, you want to know that your blood pressure is somewhere around 120 on 80. What do those numbers mean? I'm not going to dive too deep into that. We can take a little time. But the top number is something called systolic blood pressure, while the bottom number is something called diastolic blood pressure. And when we get to the systolic, all it means is that when the heart squeezes, what is the pressure inside the blood vessels? And the diastolic is when the heart relaxes, what is the pressure in the blood vessels then? So if when the heart contracts, it has a very high pressure, it means it is forcing blood through some spaces where it has to work harder. Okay? Even when it's relaxing, the blood is still under pressure, and the heart is going to have to work how? Harder. Now, I have a friend online, his name is Brent. He's a big muscle guy. And when he goes into the gym and he's pumping that old iron, his muscles are growing day by day. Similarly, if you have your heart pumping weight, which is pushing blood at a very high pressure through the blood vessels, the heart muscles are also going to grow. And they're going to grow thick. And that could be problematic for you. But I want you to imagine for one moment. Just imagine very quickly. Yes, you're a strong character. Yes, John? You're a strong person. Yes, Brent? Yes, you are. But I'm going to give you a load that you can carry quite easily to the door. But then I want you to take it down the street and up the hill, and you're going to be walking around with that massive load all day long. Can that be good for you? Of course not. And that is exactly what blood pressure does to your heart alone. We're not even going to be talking including the kidneys, the brain, the eyes, the intestines, the legs. We're not even getting there yet. You're just walking with a load that the heart has to be fighting all the time when your blood pressure is elevated. So how high is high? What is the number that we spoke about just now? Right, I have to check and see if you guys are listening. 120 and 80. So, I want you to keep that in your mind. When we talk about high blood pressure, some people unfortunately are going to come in with high blood pressure. They will. Because they have a set of blood pressure called secondary hypertension that is caused by a whole heap of things that sometimes is completely out of their control. They may have some blood vessel abnormalities. They may have some hormonal issues. They may have some structural problems in their kidneys, and they can't avoid it. They will end up having high blood pressure, some of them. Some people may be on certain medications, like the contraceptive pills that may invariably push up your blood pressure, and they may not be taking it to avoid pregnancy. They may be taking it to help to control their periods, etc., and their pressure unfortunately goes up. Some people take painkillers, and that can help to push up your blood pressure as well. And then there's the 90% of the people, like all of us, who the real causes, we don't really know, but we know you have high blood pressure, and we know what are the risk factors for it. So 90% of the population will be having a high blood pressure. Who's having high blood pressure, the cause is not really known. So it's called primary high blood pressure. So this number here is very important. When you go to the doctor, because you have a blood pressure of 120 on 80, that's great. But we have to give a little leadway. And the leadway goes all the way up to 140 on 90. And I just explained to you what the top number means and what the bottom number means. This is the absolute cutoff point. If you are above this, you have high blood pressure. If you're above 140 and 90, you have high blood pressure. And high blood pressure at this stage is measured in stages, stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, but we're not going to dive into that. It just means the pressure is higher and higher and higher, more and more risk. But 140 on 90, this is in the office. The doctor does it a few times and you come up with that, he's telling you straight, you have high blood pressure, you need to do something about it. But I've written something there really tiny, and that is talking about blood pressure at home. Some of us are fortunate enough to have blood pressure machines at home. And if you can do your blood pressure at home, we give a little bit more leadway, 135 on 85. Because in your own home, in your couch, you're a little bit more relaxed than when you're in the doctor's office. So we give you a slightly lower pressure to consider that you have high blood pressure. So 135 on 85 on home blood pressure readings is considered to be the first stage of high blood pressure. Very important. So, I want you guys here, you're going to get bombarded with questions. What is the blood pressure that everyone will say you have high blood pressure at? 140 over 90. You have to start knowing these numbers. The number is going to be very important for you. If you're 120 and 80, you can amble along nicely. You're on 150 or 94. Oh my gosh, what's going on? You have to start knowing what's happening so that you can take care of yourself. Some people rely heavily on the doctors, and they don't have to when the solutions are very simple. So, see that we have a little technical glitch going on. This is our heart under pressure. It's working there all the time. High blood pressure. No. Look at this photo here. Here we have a normal heart, and this is the heart that represents Brent's muscles right there. See how thick it is? It's working very hard. And as it works harder, the muscles get thicker and thicker, less blood volume within the ventricles, and less functionality. So, I don't know, when you look at sprinters, the ones that are very, very big, they can't run long distances, can they? They can sprint fast, and then they... Similarly, the big heart muscle can beat, poof, poof, poof. But as soon as you start to work it a little bit more, it becomes fatigued, just like a normal muscle, because it's big and clunky. Strong, but big and clunky and can't do the job that it needs to be doing all day, all night, all week. Exercise, no exercise. So you have to keep your heart lean, like that. Keep it functional that it can work during the day, when you're asleep, when you go to pick up the kids, when you mix in that cuckoo, or I don't know, you bring in the wood for the fire. I don't know what you guys do. When you ride your bicycle, when you're carrying the groceries from the supermarket, you need your heart to be ticking over nicely. Does this make sense, everybody? All right. Moving on. So, keep mentioning high blood pressure, high blood pressure, high blood pressure is a big fuss, big fuss. And we know why. Are we going to get your money or are we not? Are we going to take a good set of coppers out of you or are we not? Is the undertaker going to get you an expensive coffin? That's how you have to look at it. This is the reality of what high blood pressure is going to cause. And we said before, the big problem is because it's silent. Why is it silent? I'm going to mention it. You're going to see a slide on it eventually. It is a silent killer because of something that I'm coming to shortly. Silent killer. Joan, unfortunately, you get high blood pressure. Peter, you get high blood pressure. What your name is again? Nadisha, you get high blood pressure. The gentleman at the back, you get high blood pressure. The kids in the control center, you get high blood pressure. Every single body in here, every single person online gets high blood pressure or hypertension at some point in time. When is it a problem? When you having high blood pressure all the time. Remember, you give that guy a big set of weight, he can take it to the door and put it down. But if he has to take it around all day, his back is going to mash up, his legs are going to break down. He can't keep up. Similarly, if you have high blood pressure constantly, that is where the problem is. guess this clicker is a bit slow. All right. Now, do you remember the diagrams that I showed you all earlier in a few slides before? How the heart sends the blood all around the body? And I touched up to the top where the brain is, where the eyes were, etc., etc. You remember that? Very good. So, with this high blood pressure, we have spoken about the heart. But we need to talk a little bit about the brain. Now, the brain have little blood vessels in it. And these little blood vessels can only accommodate a certain amount of pressure. Okay? So if you put more pressure in these little blood vessels than it can tolerate, what's going to happen to them? Talk to me. What's going to happen to them? They're going to burst. They're going to leak. Yes? They're going to have little ballooning pieces called aneurysms. That is what happened to little blood vessels when they're under high blood pressure. Now let's take it out the abstract. Let's go to your kitchen. You've attached a little hose onto the pipe and you turn on the pipe too hard. What happens to that hose? The hose flies off the pipe, water is everywhere. Yes or no? Of course. Similarly, in your body, you send up the pressure really high on a little teeny blood vessel. That's exactly what's going to happen. It's going to rupture, it's going to leak, it's going to have little weak parts in it, and you are going to have problems where those blood vessels are having problems. So let's call a place your foot. High blood pressure down in your foot, blood vessels going to burst down there, you have circulatory problems. High blood pressure in your kidney, you're going to have kidney problems. High blood pressure in your eyeballs, you are going to have problems seeing. Are you starting to get the picture here? High blood pressure in your brain, you are going to have a stroke. Unfortunately, I've lost a couple of friends who've had strokes resulting from high blood pressure. One guy was a bit too miserable, and he used to push up his pressure really high, and unfortunately, he passed away. It happens. High blood pressure is a killer. And the big problem with this high blood pressure is you don't know that you have it, because suddenly you don't drop down with a stroke. You don't suddenly go blind. You don't start passing water that have blood in it. You don't have all sorts of backache. You don't just fall down and get dizzy. Oh, that may be high blood pressure. You don't have a clue. It presents so subtly, and only when there's a big problem, it is how when? Too late. That is why this high blood pressure is a silent killer. It is just send you to the edge, and then it wakes you up and say, hey, you're at the edge. And then you're looking down the precipice. Too late. So that is why it's important to know your numbers. Know where you stand. Know how you are going to regulate this blood pressure to avoid all the things we just talked about. And don't forget, not everybody dies, they get a stroke. Not everybody dies, they get a heart attack. Or not many people, this earth will have very few people, because a lot of people get heart attacks and strokes. You live with the problem. Some people walk bad because they're paralyzed. Some people become demented. They develop dementia from these mini strokes. Yes? Some people have to go on dialysis because their kidneys have failed. You get what I'm saying here? Some people have their legs amputated. You don't always die. But living with the problem that it has caused could also be just as bad. Especially, and this world has run a lot of money, if you don't have money to do certain things, you're in big trouble. If you don't have family to come help you, you're in big trouble. Think about it. This is the harsh reality of what happens to many people. It is not happening to you because you are healthy. You people come to church and you don't eat your meat. You keep your salt down. You do everything you need to do, so you don't have that problem. But if you dive into the little canals of these streets, you're going to meet somebody who don't have no foot, who have gone blind, who's demented, who had heart attack and can barely walk from here to there before getting short of breath. Do you know what I'm talking about? Come on, talk to me. This is the reality of what this disease can do to people, and you don't have a clue. It's happening until it's when? So what you're going to do? Yes, you got to know your numbers. Are you all following what I'm saying here? We have a question from the good pastor coming in.
No, well, it's a question online. Dee says, so know your numbers. How often should one do their blood pressure?
We're coming to that. We're coming to that. Don't worry, Gigi online. We're coming to how often, and you need not worry. We're going to talk about it, and if I forget, the good pastor is going to remind me.
And another one.
Go ahead.
Symptoms.
Yes,
there
we're coming
different
to that.
symptoms for different
Of course, there's some symptoms. Yes, we're coming to that. We're coming to that. I like these online questions. Keep them coming in. We have the pastor who's on the mic, and he'll be sorting it out when it's right. Here we go. Just waiting for this ticker to tick over. Okay, they need a checker change. Okay, no problem. It's going now. So we talked about the dementia. We talked about the aneurysms. We talked about all those things. No problem. No problem. It's working now. Check it out. This poor guy is in the mirror. He's wondering, who am I? His brain is gone. And not because he took some drug and whatever. The blood pressure caused a few blood vessels to cause a few mini strokes because they burst in there. And then suddenly, he can't have his cognitive skills are gone. He's starting to forget. Do you know anybody with dementia? Do you know anyone? You don't, huh? I know a few. And it's really sad that they're looking at you and wondering, who are you? But yet they can tell you something from 50 years ago. Yeah? And then they get up and they're going to use the toilet, but it just happens to be at the doorpost right outside the bedroom. You know what I'm talking about? They got to pass their water right there. They forgot, hey, the toilet is around the corner and it's a little round thing with the water in the bottom. Do you know what I'm talking about? And they thought that they have eaten, but they have not eaten for 2 weeks. You know what I'm saying? You come to bathe them and they say, what are you doing? I'm clean. Hey, this dementia is real. Until you know somebody that has dementia or suffered it, you cannot fully fathom this. But that is why I'm trying to bring it to you as real as possible, that you can even start to imagine what it would be like. I don't think the Adventist church have many people with dementia, does it? I don't see any demented members coming in here. And that may be for a particular reason. Maybe their lifestyle may have helped them to dodge a bullet. Really good. These are the aneurysms we're talking about right here. You have the aorta coming down, and then sometimes you have these bulges. And believe it or not, these bulges can rupture. And when this aorta ruptures, the probability is very low that you're going to come back from that. I'll never forget, one day I was in medical school and we were running up. I was doing vascular. And we ran up to this guy, and he had a flat abdomen. I'm not going to point at myself because mine is not exactly 8-pack style. But he had a flat abdomen before, but he had one of these aneurysms that ruptured. And his belly came up very big. By the time we opened him and went in and moved away, hey, we just had to close him back because there's no way we could save him. If we had barely cut a bit, all the blood would have squirted everywhere. He was finished. This high blood pressure is a real thing. It's real. And that's the operation. You have to put a nice sleeve on it and then try to hopefully stop it from going any further. Now, this is not a good representation, but it brings you and homes you in on the eye. We talked about the eyes. If you ever manage to look inside of an eye through the pupil, this is what you should see. Should come up. Right. We do something called fundoscopy, and we look in through that pupil. You know the pupil that you see every day? It's actually a space to the back of the eye that we look through there. And we look at all these little blood vessels. And these blood vessels, sometimes they get very thick. And you see those white spots there? Leakages, leakages, leakages. And you see some bleeding within the eye. Now the eye is so small, and the eye is so delicate that as soon as you start to leak some blood in the eye, what's going to happen to you? You start to have vision problems. And I want to tell you, it is so difficult to recover from this. It's not something that you can just snap your finger and hopefully it will come back. If you have a very good surgeons and they can do this laser and that laser, and you know the right people and you go to the right place and you get there early enough, maybe you have a chance. The rest of us don't have that chance. We will unfortunately suffer some vision issues. Can't drive no more. Imagine that. You can't drive no more. We take for granted our eyes until we need them. Huh? I tell you, close your eyes now and leave here and go home. It's impossible, isn't it? Or you're in a strange hotel. You've turned off all the lights and you suddenly, oh, where's the bathroom? And you stump your foot on your suitcase wheel because you couldn't see. It's just dark room. But imagine people have to live with that. Or their vision is so diminished, they can't see very well. It's faddy, it's fuzzy. This is the reality. I'm not talking about Pastor Smith getting old and have to use glasses like me. That is normal old age. But when you talk about blood vessels going in your eyeballs, glasses or no glasses can't help you. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, do you want to be in that state or do you want to avoid that? There's a good old saying that says prevention is better than what? So that is where we're aiming for, the prevention, the avoidance of such problems. Right. Now, we just talked about the stroke here. And strokes are devastating, you know. We have this little thing in England, they talk about fast, face. What else? What else? It's fast, so you have to know it. How are you going to know somebody in your house is having a stroke? You can look at their face is drooping. Their speech, yes? Yeah, their speech could be slurred, they could be a little weak, they could collapse. These are things you got to know. You have to know these things. Not only for you, but for people you might be working with. You may have an employee, you may be a head teacher of a school or a senior teacher in a department, or you may be just working in your supermarket or wherever, and the person is talking to you and their face is drooping down on the side and start to slur speech, or they may just lean and collapse on the ground. You have to know signs. Hey, call the ambulance, beep, 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 this, that. I think they're having a stroke. It helps the teams to come even more prepared. Let's take it away from there. It could be in your house. You go to visit your good old mom, or she comes to visit you, and lo and behold, you know, you wake up in the morning and see her dragging her right leg. You know, I will never forget, I had a patient who came to me, and he was all muddy and stuff. He told me, Doc, I was out walking the dogs, and this right leg just wouldn't work. His right leg. And I said, you're out walking the dogs, you sure those dogs haven't pulled you over? He said, no, it's just today. I thought he was having a stroke, but I was very calm about it. I said, guess what? I think you may be, you know, having a little stroke. He said, a stroke? Why would I have a stroke? I said, well, it's possible your right leg don't just stop working just like that. I'll tell you what, why don't you just go to the hospital, I'll write you this note, and I'll say that you're having a stroke. And he says, I don't know if I go in there today, you know, doc. I don't know if I'm going there today. I say, all right, you don't have to go. You seem pretty well, but you need to go by tomorrow. When he went through the door, something was on me saying, you know, that man may be very unwell. You better call him again. So I called, didn't get the man, got his daughter. So I was able to speak to the daughter with a bit more of urgency. She goes, finds the man, take him reluctantly to the hospital, kicking and screaming. And guess what? The man had a big bleed in his head. And the hospital people say, yeah, it's probably like, let's just do. They were not even keen. They'd say, we'll do it because, yes, all right, maybe dragging. Big bleed. Got saved. Let's give it 5 hours later. Hand, foot, leg, he'll probably be no more today. So strokes are real. You have to know the signs. Now, these are the kidneys we talk about. These kidneys are so important. I can't stress the importance of your kidneys. Let me give you an example. The garbage men in Bridgetown decide to strike. The garbage men in Croydon decide to strike. The first day, no problems, no? Give it 2 weeks. What are you going to see? Piles of garbage. It stink everywhere. And that is what's happening in your body when these kidneys pack up. These kidneys filter out impurities that you pass out in urine. They regulate the salts in your body. They help to keep your blood pressure under control. And when these kidneys become damaged, none of that is happening. So the impurities stay in your bloodstream. They begin to poison your body and loads of problems happen. Trust me, loads. We have to try to help you really fast. And some people are unrecoverable. You have to get them to dialysis, or the impurities that are in their bodies are going to kill them off. Simple as that. So you have to protect these kidneys. And there's only one way I know to protect the kidneys really well. Do you know what that is? What is it? Yes. Keeping up your fluids, drinking loads of water. Make sure you're peeing a lot. and it's nice and clear. We'll come to that. And then we talk about the heart over and over and over. This heart is not just a heart. The heart is attached to pipes, and these pipes have to carry your blood. So if the pressure is too high, these pipes also become damaged, begin to pile up plaques along the surfaces, and from that high blood pressure, there's where more problems come. Now I want you to imagine a pipe like this. But if I narrow the lumen, how will the pressure go? Up or down? Up. If I'm sending the same volume of blood through a smaller blood vessel, it's going to increase. The pressure is going to get higher. So, we're starting to get the picture of the dangers of this high blood pressure and what it entails for us. Now, here we have pictures of, that's the liver there, that's the heart up top, and on here is the intestines on this side there, so with the spleen. And again, another thing that happens is that because the heart has to work so hard, apart from the muscles getting very big, it can also become so damaged that it's not beating anymore. It's not beating properly anymore. It can't do the job well. It's like an old truck. Early in its youth, it can carry tons of load. But as the truck gets older, you cannot load it up as much. It will never get over the hill. And that's what happens to these hearts when you beat them up with too much high blood pressure. So, someone asks about what are some of the symptoms that you could encounter with high blood pressure. Now, I must tell you that these symptoms happen in about 1% of the persons. You do get some symptoms, but in very few people. Things like dizziness, things like blurred vision, things like headaches. As a matter of fact, if you are a person that gets a headache or blurred vision or get a bit dizzy when your pressure goes up, that is very good because at least you have a warning. What about the millions of people that have none of this? No warning. This only happens in 1%. Headaches of people, confusion. Some people may feel extra tired. Some people get a bit short of breath. Some people, because of the damaged kidneys, a little blood squeaks out in their urine. So if you're a person who pees in the night with no lights on every day, you may not even know you have blood in your urine until you look. So when you wee, look at your wee. Look at it. Don't just say wee, oh, wee, oh. No, look at your wee. Is it nice and straw colored, or is it dingy yellow, orange with little specks of blood? Think about that. This is the reality we are talking about. Yes? Look at your wee. How many people look at their wee? How many people smell their wee? Yes. You have to smell it too. So if you can smell it and it's smelling all pungent and it looks thick and dirty, you know you need more what? Fluid. You need to be flushing them kidneys out some more. Straw-colored urine is the urine you need. Not all orange manky urine with blood in it. That is problems for you. Are you following what I'm saying here? All right. And then there's some people can get some chest pain, and because the heart is working so hard, the engine, just like the truck, starts to do madness. You get some irregular beats. You can even have nosebleeds very easily. And some people, when they lie down, can actually feel their pulse pounding in their ears or their head because the pressure is that high. A lot of people normally comment about that. Oh, I can really feel my heart pounding. And these are little subtle signs to give you ideas that your pressure may be elevated. Above what number? No. Come again. 140/90. I need you to be knowing these numbers because I'm going to be on you like a tick. I'm going to ask you loads of questions. Very good. So, as I told you, it's only about 1% of the persons that gets these symptoms. So, most of the damage, by the time you even start to get a bit of dizziness, by the time you even start to pee a little blood, the damage is already done. That is why you have to know. That is why you have to get checked. That is why this is a silent killer. It's too late when you find out you're already dead or just about. It's a fact. You just have to accept it. So you have to deal with it before you get there. So, someone was asking online how often we need to check. So if you're a young person, young able-bodied like my boy here, or that young boy there, because everybody else in here seems to be well up in age, unfortunately, you probably just need to do your blood pressure once, and if it's nice and below 120 on 80 and you don't have any problems like diabetes and stuff, you can do it every 5 years. If you're a person that you're over 40 years old, you should do it annually. If it is normal, you continue to do it yearly around the same time, which is really good. Yes? But if you're a person where that blood pressure is creeping up, it's above what number? Come on, talk to me. 140 or 90, you need to be checking that blood pressure minimum every 6 months with somebody who knows what they're doing. And if you have a blood pressure machine, you can do it anytime you want. So, if you're young and able-bodied, things are good for you once every 5 years. If you start to creep up in age, once every year if it's still normal. But once it's abnormally high, you need to be doing it at least every 6 months. Yes? Very good. Remember those things. So, quick question. How many people had their blood pressures checked in 2022? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3. So more than 50% of the church this afternoon have had their blood pressures checked already for the first 2 months of the year. The rest of you have to catch up. Yes? Think about it. Knowing the numbers. Knowing the numbers is very important. So, I think this ticked over. It's doing something. I think it's operating on its own. It's doing something, isn't it? Yeah. Right. We're back here. We're going to talk about some risk factors. And everyone wants to know, so am I the one at risk? It's going to get brutal from now on. If you're heavy, if you're overweight, if you're obese, that is a risk factor. I'm not even going to dive in what obesity is and heaviness is. You have to know that you're heavy. Yes? You have to know. Yes? If you don't get any exercise, that's a risk factor. Yes? Because your heart not getting regular exercise is not going to maintain its good cardiovascular function. Big trouble. If you like enough crisp, enough Kentucky, enough McDonald's, enough, I can't even remember the next name from the Caribbean that everyone likes. Fried plantain, yes. If you like the banana chips and you like to put in a handful of salt, people think that salt is a joke. Salt is no joke. Look, in my pocket here, I'm going to illustrate to you. In my pocket, I have 6 grams of salt. See that? 6 grams. This is Himalayan salt. This is even the good salt. 6 grams of Himalayan salt. See that? And that's for adults. And this is in a day. 6 grams. See how small it is? And I think I put a spoon in my pocket. I did. There's a little tiny spoon. See it there? Little tiny spoon. And that fits in there easily. See that? Easily. And that is all day. Maximum 6 grams. Many of us have well over 25, 30 grams easily. Why? Because salt comes in every single thing that we eat. Look at the label. Some people think, and they just say sodium chloride. They got sodium this, sodium that, sodium the next, sodium the third. All of that is salt. And all of that is adding up. So the more salt you have in your diet, the higher the chance of you getting high blood pressure. Why? Because salt pulls water into the blood vessels, increase the volume of the blood, puts more pressure on the blood vessels, makes the heart work harder because it have to push through a bigger volume into one tiny space. You follow what I'm saying? Big problems. Not easy. My mom used to say when I was a kid, boy, that is too much salt. It will harden your arteries and give you high blood pressure. Years ago, she used to tell me that. Now you understand exactly the mechanism. However, same story. Too much salt. You know, some countries, if you don't put salt in it, they will tell the food tastes fresh. That ain't got no taste, they would say. What you cooking here at all? Put more salt. You only need 6 grams a day. And we need salt in our diet because many biochemical reactions in our body needs the salt. But too much salt is not good for you. So if you think that this 6 grams, look at it good, it's a lot. Children need only half of this. Yes? The little teeny kids that we buy Kentucky and McDonald's for all day long, we need to recognize that we are predisposing them to high blood pressure early on in life by giving them the so-called treats of life that is really slow poisoning them. We are knocking off our own generations by bad habits. Half this amount. And many kids eat triple this volume in the crisps, you know. Sometimes people buy entire packs of crisps, and 1 or 2 children may eat that whole pack of crisps before the week is out, and it had 25 little packs in it. Do you know how much salt that is? That would fill up this bag right here. Fill it up. Too much salt is not good for you. As a matter of fact, you know that you have a lot of salt in your diet when you start to sweat. What can you taste? Salt. You lick your skin. Ooh, salty. You dry it white like chalk. It's just the salt on your skin. Too much salt. The reality, people. Think about it. And it's bad for you. It is bad for you. Now, I know in the Adventist church, we don't have a problem with alcohol. Many of our members don't drink. But you know somebody who does. Talk to them. Alcohol. Many people in the Adventist church don't smoke, but many people do that we know. Smoking, whether it's cigarettes, whether it's the Cohiba, the Monte Cristo, for the people listening in Cuba, or the good old ganja, it's still smoking. It is bad for you. It increases your blood pressure, allows deposits to happen in your arteries. It is a killer, people. Remember, you just don't fall down and die just like that. And many people don't. But when you have to push them in a wheelchair and you yourself can't even walk so good, there's no fun after that, is it? Oh, I'm talking as if you have a wheelchair. Some people can't even get a wheelchair. They have to borrow one. You could lend me your wheelchair, please? This is the reality. And then the wheelchair is not even adequate because the wheels aren't too big. And you're already old and you're trying to push somebody that you can't even push them because the wheel's too small. Big problems. But, yes, sir.
Thanks for that. I have 3 questions.
3 questions coming in from the online auditorium. Go ahead.
Carol asked a question. Alzheimer, is that as a result of high blood pressure?
Well, there's something called vascular dementia. We'll keep it right there. Vascular dementia, when you have a lot of mini strokes, can eventually affect your cognition, your memory, and vascular dementia. And a lot of people, all this Alzheimer's and the various Alzheimer's, the exact origin is not known. People are still speculating, but we know one cause for sure is mini strokes that can happen in your brain. Yes. Next question.
So, right. So it's probably a mini stroke.
You can have mini strokes that can lead to vascular dementia.
Okay. Right. Whatever that is.
Dementia is when you lose your ability for cognitive skills,
business.
your memory and social interaction and all of these things. Go ahead.
It was more the vascular I was thinking about. My friend experienced an aneurysm out of the blue years ago and survived. She's always concerned if it will happen again. She gets bloodshot eyes. She wears special made glasses. What advice do you give for her to manage?
Well, his friend has had an aneurysm in the past. They get bloodshot eyes. They wear special glasses. The story is still the same. Know your numbers. Some people have weak blood vessels and eventually spring into an aneurysm and have a lot of problems. But a lot of aneurysms are also caused by high blood pressure. So once you know your numbers, you're keeping your blood pressure down. That reduces the chance of you developing aneurysms anywhere in the body by keeping the blood pressure manageable, okay? So reoccurrence, higher probability, the higher the pressure goes. You don't manage your blood pressure, increased chance of a repeat aneurysm, wherever it was.
The final question is from Barbados.
Barbados.
Yes. She said, and maybe it's your sister Mary.
Oh my God, Sister Mary.
Yes. In Barbados, we are told The standard is 120 over 80. You were saying 140 over 90.
All right. So that's cool. Let's understand.
Can you share any ideas on the reason for this disparity?
Well, let's just go back again. Ideal blood pressure is 120 on 80. Ideal. You're considered high blood pressure when you're above 140 on 90. Okay? So you can be 125 on 80 little bit. You're still normal because you have to have a plus or minus, yes? But when you go above 140 or 90, people will start to say, look, that lifestyle needs to modify. You need to do this, you need to do that. You need to drop weight, you need to eat properly, you need to this, that. But when you're in the realms of still the normal, you have to, it's not a cutoff. No one stops the blood pressure on a dime. I can take blood pressure on every single one of you and it will all be different, but they'll all be normal. Does that make sense? So we have a cutoff point where we say, after this point, this is where we've started to see a lot of problems coming at 140 and 90. 140 and 90 in the UK, and I'm coming from the UK at this time, is the point where we start to say, above that, high blood pressure. So, unfortunately, your social status. What do I say about social status? Some people that are poor and live in very poor housing and deprived areas are the ones that are more likely to have high blood pressure, yes? You have any idea why? It's called stress. Reality, no food. You go down by the market, no food. You come to pay the bill, no money. Landlord come for his rent, no money. People to pay rent, don't pay. Stress. Yes or no? Yes. And because of that, you got 3, 4, 5 children. They're not learning in school because no place to sleep. It's my turn to sleep on the bed. You sleep on the floor today. And when you lie on the floor too hard, you didn't sleep well. You go to school the next day, not learning good. Stress for the mother. Yes? The mom may be the single parent with 4 children. Stress. This is the reality. We here might not experience that, but it happens all around the world. Stress is real. Stress will run up your blood pressure. Stress will cause you or can cause you problems. So you can do something about your social status eventually. But if you're stuck in it and you're stuck in the rut, some people can't come out their house because gunshots firing. Yes or no? Of course. If they go down the road, they're in somebody else's gang territory. You go down there, some man gonna shoot you. Somebody gonna ask you to sell drugs. Somebody gonna ask you to join a gang. You can't pass this staircase because people, they're always smoking weed. This is reality. You people here live in their own house, their own nice driveway. They don't have no problems. But if you go into some socially deprived areas where you have zinc, gunshot, man running, big dog fights, hen fights, cock fights, everyday police braiding, sirens every 2 seconds. This is real for some people, not for everybody. So depending on where you live in, you can have a little bit more stress than others, and that can eventually run up your blood pressure because of the stress causes a lot of hormonal secretions that eventually run up your blood pressure. Now, talking about stress, that's a different topic, but I talked about the deprived areas. Some people in their cushy job, stress. The boss say, you need to be vaccinated before a certain day or you lose your job. Stress. Sound familiar? I'm Barbados, in Trinidad. You must get them children back. I am not going there, people. Stress. You go get on a plane. Have you done your PCR? Stress. You go to do PCR. A ton of money. Stress. You come back. More PCR. I'm just showing you that not everybody in deprived areas have stress. You go into a certain area, deliver your nice job. You're driving home. Your back wheel stays in a box junction. Stress. For those who drive, you know what that is? A fine. And you better pay it or they're going to double it. And if you don't pay it, they clamp it at 3 o'clock in the morning. You come out for work, can't drive. Stress. Well, you know what I'm talking about, yes? Stress in your cushy job. So not only poor people suffer stress, rich people too. You're principal of a school, you have teachers to teach. Stress. Because one don't do his job, some do their job, some don't do it, some don't come. Stress. Hey, let's not forget the good old pastor. He has to come and do this church, that church. Problems with member, no problems with member. his car break down, his child might be sick, somebody dies. Stress. Yes or no, Pastor Smith? How do you do it? This is the reality. You think the doctor is excluded? He has 10-minute appointments. And you come with a million problems caused by high blood pressure. What is it? Stress. He have to try to sort you out quick, get on to the next one, and still get home to pick up the children. What is it? Stress. Reality. So, we have to find ways. So, not only the people in the zinc capitals suffer stress. People with a nice driveway and a nice car and a cushy job also suffer stress. So, don't think that you are excluded. Stress, we have to try and avoid it. Moving on. So, those are the good news. We can avoid the obesity, we can avoid the smoking, we can avoid the bad food, we can cut out the salt, but then they're the ones that we can't avoid. Good old father time. You know time? Time is longer than twine. Yeah? My mom always said, time is longer than twine and night will run till daylight catch it. Have you ever heard that before? Well, you better learn a new saying. Time is longer than twine. And in this case, this is the good news for you women. Not so good, but I'll still call it good news. As we all get past 60 years old, the probability of blood pressure increases, yes? For women, your blood pressure does not tend to go up very high until about age 64-ish, till about age 75-ish. So women all along live a good cushy life, not quite, but they have least chance of high blood pressure right up into their 60s. Meanwhile, men having high blood pressure from the time they could walk. Not quite, but you get the picture. A lot earlier in life, men are having the high blood pressure, 40s, 50s, 60s, right through. Unfortunately, women, when the blood pressure takes over, it really takes over. So after 60, 65, the blood pressure problems really start to kick in. So it's really important that women, while they still can, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, have a good life. Does that make sense? Avoid the problems that can come to you when you get up, when you can't avoid them. So you got to prepare for that time. You can't run away from your family history and your genetics. So if you know that your mother had high blood pressure, there's a good chance that you're going to end up with high blood pressure too. So because you know that early, to be forewarned is to be forearmed. So you know early. You start to knock out the things that can help you get there. Now, I know most of the people listening are not Caucasian, and even if they are, black people, black African, black Caribbean, black American, black race have a higher chance of having high blood pressure. So if you're a black person, have some black genes in you, you should be doing the checks at the times that we talked about. Okay? Some twins as well, if you're a twin. So family history, ethnicity, age, you can't change them, but you can do something about when you get there or to prevent or reduce your chances. Now, I want you to look at that picture really well. Now, I did it like that on purpose. I want you to point to at least 5 people there that have high blood pressure. Can you tell? Of course not. It's not written on your forehead. You don't go around announcing to the world, I have high blood pressure. You don't even know if you have it or not. So, all of these people enjoying a proper game of baseball, half of them or more have high blood pressure. As a matter of fact, for every 10 people in that stadium that know they have high blood pressure, 7 have gone undetected. That is how high it is. Sometimes it's 1 in 3 with high blood pressure. Okay? So you who are forearmed and forewarned need to be forearmed. You need to get your numbers done. You need to go to your GP. And if you can't get an appointment, a blood pressure machine costs 20 pounds. It's certainly cheaper than 20 packs of chewing gum. Then big pack of crisps that you're going to buy. Not McDonald's for the whole family on the road trip. Buy yourself a blood pressure machine. This is the reality. Yeah? Road trip, McDonald's, 24 quid. Blood pressure machine to save your life, 20 quid. Any, many, many more. McDonald's. No! Blood pressure machine is what you need to buy. You can use that for generations to come if you keep your pressure below. Does that make sense? Of course. Do your fish at home in the air fryer. No grease. Anyhow, not advertising air fryers. Oh, man. Go on, we have some vegetarian products. You can air fry them too. Here we go. So, doing your blood pressure at varying times of the day is always a good point. Sometimes they say around 2-3 is when you have the highest blood pressure. Look, if you've just exercised, how is your blood pressure going to be? It's going to be high. So taking it just then, would it be wise? No, it's going to give you a false reading. You come into your house, you just come in from work, you're telling the kids go do their homework, you're trying to clean up the wares from the sink. Is that a good time to do your blood pressure? No, it's going to be high. Come on. You just finished shouting at the neighbor for throwing garbage over your paling. Is that a good time to take your blood pressure? No. The police just stopped you for no reason just because he was profiling. Is that a good time to do your blood pressure? No, of course not. You come home from work, food cook, everything nice. You eat good. Good time to do your blood pressure? Yeah, it's time to now relax. So if you're having high blood pressure when you're relaxed, you have high blood pressure. Does that make sense? Come on, talk to me. Does that make sense out there in online land? Of course it does. All right. So going back to the basics, we use a sphygmomanometer. It's just something they put on your hand. It feels a bit tight. And when the doctor, if they're doing you properly, they're not only going to look at your blood pressure, they're going to look to see if you had any organ damage. So they're going to check your urine for blood. They may book you in for an ECG. Don't think that the doctor wants to know your business or he's trying to get some more money from you. He probably is, but he's still checking you over. Yes? If he's saying, give me money for nothing, you say, hey, doc, what happened to my ECG? What happened to my urine tests? What happened to the repeat blood pressure? Are you going to see me again? Those are the sort of questions you want to ask your doctor. Yes? But if he's saying, 500 pounds, I'll just take your blood pressure. You say, for what? What else are you going to do for me? You get in the picture here? So they have to look at the organs to see if there's any damage when they're checking you over. So they give you a little blood test, which can look at your kidneys, etc. They can look at your diabetes status. Are you following me? Because with problems with your kidneys and diabetes, high blood pressure is even worse. Are you all following here? Nobody falling asleep now. Online land, wake up. Serious business.
Oh, there's some questions.
Question coming in from online land. Go ahead.
Okay, what about low blood pressure?
Yes. Today, unfortunately, is about high blood pressure. Yes, we can talk about low blood pressure another time, and sometimes low blood pressure can lead to a lot of those symptoms we talk about, the dizziness, the lightheadedness, etc., etc. And you have to look and see what could be the predisposing factor for that. Maybe it could be drugs that you're taking that are dropping your blood pressure. You could be bleeding out somewhere, have a low blood volume, you dehydrated, a lot of reasons for low blood pressure. But it's normally low blood pressure normally comes with reasons, okay? But today is about high blood pressure.
All right, two more questions.
Go ahead. Questions from the online world.
My son's very tall and suffering low and was told his height contributed to low pressure.
Well,
I know you're going high, but this one is asking low.
yes. Your son is very tall. First of all, you need to look at your son carefully, check his height, check his BMI, determine if he's having adequate nutrition and diet. All these things you have to make sure off the baseline. He's having adequate nutrition, adequate diet, adequate salt. You check his hormones. And sometimes very, very tall people and skinny comes with something called Marfan's, but we're not going to dive into that. It's really a body habitus that needs to be investigated. So very low blood pressure, very, very tall person, they can suffer things like dizziness easily because blood, imagine, have to go from there all the way up there, all the way down there and back. So it depends on what they're doing. They could feel very light easily. So it's something that's worth investigating.
Right, okay. I know you probably won't be able to answer this question. Because what is the medication recommended for high blood pressure? And then they talk about metformin.
Metformin.
Met what?
Metformin is diabetic medication.
Okay, met something, right? Is what my father used to take. It did not agree with them.
Yes, you can have a little bit of gastrointestinal reaction. Yes,
and basically side effects were not good. Many have complained of the same medication.
All right. So today I'm not slaughtering the pharmaceutical companies. I'm not diving into that medication battle of metformin or not. But there are loads of medications you can take for blood pressure, and they go according to race. They go according to where your blood pressure is, etc., etc., etc. For example, If you're black, you start with a certain type. If you're white, you start with a certain type. This is due research. There's not a race medication. There's not racist medication. There's medication based on research. So black people have a certain amount up to a certain age 55, and then they change. White people have a certain amount up to a certain age, then they change, and then they can mix both, and then you go from that one to the maximum, then you go on to the second one to the maximum, you go on to the third to the maximum. All this time you're doing different blood pressure checks. If you go on to a fourth, you probably have to see the heart specialist, who can then recommend more and more aggressive treatments. But blood pressure medication over time have proven to save a lot of people by just lowering that pressure to help them to avoid some of the bad stuff which we talked about. And if you are prescribed blood pressure medication for high blood pressure, my advice to you is to take it until you can safely lower your blood pressure by doing what you need to do, which would be probably to cut out some of that salt, to drop some weight, to get some exercise. Somebody may ask me how much exercise, so I'll tell you right now, at least 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. That equates to 150 minutes each week. Even gentle walking is good for you. Get your cell phone, talk to Barbara from next door, and you walk 15 minutes from your house, and guess what? You have to walk 15 minutes coming back, isn't it? 30 minutes, boom, done for the day. Eat properly. Talk about fruits. Adventist church have a lot about new start, this start, that start, lifestyle change, this style change. Take it up, you know. Have a good set of berries and fruits in the morning. Eat some sweet peppers and some sunflower seeds with some cut up avocado in the afternoon, a slice of rye bread in the night with some guacamole, and you're good to go. You do that for a good couple of weeks, trust me, you will drop some weight, and you will be full doing it, you know. I'm just advertising healthy diets for those who like a good old piece of chicken or a piece of pork for those who like pork. Ayan, na gente que Cuba le gusta su puerco. Pero, but we are talking about healthy lifestyle that can help you to reduce your chances of the problems that happen when your blood pressure is raging, okay? So we talk about get tested, know your numbers. Now, again, I bring it back. 140 or 90, you want to be below that, and going down for diabetics, their blood pressure always have to try to be below that because they have a higher chance of more problems with high blood pressure and diabetes. Now, we talk about wee. Look at that wee right there. You want it to be straw color. We don't want orange, manky urine. You get your blood test. You do your ECG. These are the things that the GP will do for you. It doesn't take long. You can request them. They're never going to say no. That's the blood pressure. That machine there's a swing manometer. It's going to check your heart. And for those who buy the machine, look, this is the real world. All of us go on the internet to find where Croydon church is, to find how to buy things off Amazon. Guess what? You buy a Figma manometer or blood pressure machine, go online and see how it works. Not hard, yes? We go online to see how to make Christmas cake. Go and see how your blood pressure machine works. Simple. And if you don't know, you ask someone to help you. Not only to look up which dress you're going to buy for Christmas Day. Look and see how your blood pressure machine works. Yes? You following me or not? You are. Online, I'm sure they're following me. They're probably wanting to beat me up right now. Okay. Come on, little ticky. There it goes. Now, I just mentioned briefly the lifestyle changes. I've been banging on about the salt. You remember the salt we talk about? Yes. I talk about the exercise. How much minutes of exercise a week you need to get? 30 times 5, at least 5 days a week. How many minutes is that? 150. Seems like a lot when you add them up. But if you do 30 minutes each day, little make enough. You ever heard that before? Yes. And the famous saying in England is, every little helps. Every 30 minutes, 5 days a week, before you know it, you up to 150 minutes. And you do it every day. Whoa, this is coming easy. I'm working better. I'm not even breathing hard by the time I get done by Miss Betsy. I'm getting back home before even getting out of breath. Oh my gosh, my trousers are fitting a bit slack. You know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm talking about. Some people don't want to admit it, but it's true. And we talk about the fruit. Now there's fruit all over the place. Fruit in the Caribbean, fruit in Cuba, fruit in England, if you do not want to buy Morrison's fruit, what's the other expensive? Waitrose fruit. Go to Lidl and Aldi. You get the same fruit cheaper. Reality. You don't have £5 to spend on a pawpaw. You can get it for £1 in Lidl. And in Barbados, in Jamaica, try and meet somebody in the country who have a ton of coconut trees in them yard, some breadfruit, some mango. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? Yes. Go down the road and buy some fruit. So instead of lining up, I have to tell you, I happened to be in a certain Caribbean country recently. I wouldn't call no name, but it's north of the Caribbean, where the people them like enough breadfruit, yam and banana. I'm not calling any name. But what I could not imagine and understand was, all day, every day, the KFC line was longer than the people that, I don't know, lining up for church. KFC was never empty. Never. It was full of people all day, all night, long, long line. In the market where the fruits were, had nobody. Nobody was buying fruit. People were lining up to buy KFC. Can you imagine? But that's about that land of wood and water. Let's go down to the land of flying fish. I was told by a reliable source that when the lockdowns eased, a certain purple and yellow restaurant was rammed to the hilt with people. Chefette is called. Chefette, people were buying. When instead of buying fruit, 5 portions of fruit. Yes? And then there's certain ways that you can eat fruit in the various combinations according to the New Start and the Healthy Start that will give you the best antioxidants, the best effects from the fruit. Certain berries together, seeded fruits together. It really, really works well. Trust me, I'm a testament to that. I can tell you it does. So, have your portions of fruit. And I don't have to tell Adventist people about smoking and drinking. We all know we don't smoke and drink. But you have friends that do. So keep nudging on them. Hey, you should left them cigarettes alone, you know. Just ease off the alcohol, man. And eventually, when them see that you don't smoke and drink, you losing weight and looking fit, they're going to want to know what's going on. I always give, because Pastor Smith told people that I studied in Cuba. Yes, in Cuba, the Cubans, they had a big crisis. They had an embargo. I don't know if you all know the history. And everything was banned. Couldn't get this, couldn't get that. Things can come in, things couldn't go out. And the people were going hungry. And one consultant in the hospital told me, she was not even an Adventist. She said to me, the people who were the strongest in the society were the Adventists. And I asked her, do you know why? She said, because them don't eat what everybody else eat. Everybody like pork. Everybody like meat. And they call it asado, which is roasted. They like all of that grease and lard. Adventists was just eating lentils, beans, peas. What the other food that they, guess what they do with all them lentils, beans, peas, and guess what they do with that? They feed the pig. Pig's strong and healthy. But I'm saying to you, don't laugh, it's true. The more you eat the beans, the peas, the pulses, the drink your natural water, the stronger you will be. And if you cast your eye, look in the land, the biggest animals are what type of animals? Vegetarians. The biggest animals, the strongest animals are vegetarians, believe it or not. The elephants, the buffaloes, they don't eat meat, do they? But yet they can run for miles, they get big and robust, don't they? Even Novak Djokovic, the big tennis player, don't eat no meat. The man a vegetarian. #1 in the world for how long? Think about it. Nobody's saying eat meat is bad. I am not going to go and beat the meat eaters. I'm simply saying having a life of more plant-based diet is certainly far more nutritious, and you're going to help avoid half them problems that we talked about earlier. Okay? Moving on. Forgive me if I break into too much Barbadian language. I can't help myself when I get excited. This is the salt we're talking about. How much grams of salt does an adult need daily? How much? All right, you people. And 9? Yes, you said 6. Brilliant. 6 grams. And children should have how much? 3. Yes, because if you don't get enough salt in your diet, though, I can assure you, you'll start to get cramps, you'll start to get confused, you'll collapse and bang your head. It's called hyponatremia. It's a very bad thing. So some people take this thing overboard and put no salt. And then the body is peeing out salt, they're sweating out salt, they get cramps easily. And it's not good. So you have to know the balance, yes? This is the menu, the fried chicken place, all of that, full of grease and salt. Just leave it alone. Stay away from it. You know? Which do you want? Do you want the big clogged up artery, or you want the sweet peppers, the carrots, and these things? Which one? All of this is the power of choice. You have choice here. All of you do. All of you do. Oh, I go back one. Sorry. It's going to react now. So, if we look at this little diagram, we can see one have all the burgers, one have the fries, one have the cigarettes. Which one do you want? Think. It's not hard. No. We're going to the reality here. I tried a lifestyle altering food consumption. I'm not using the word diet on purpose. Lifestyle change, you know. And I must tell you, if you try to buy both types of food, it's going to be astronomically expensive. It's not cheap. But if you stick to one type of food and don't buy the other things, suddenly you realize you have money again. So if you're going to do it, just go over. Buy your sweet peppers. Yes? Buy your carrots. Buy your beans. Buy your peas. Now, I know in England we don't have time to shell out and count out kidney beans that hard, because nobody have time to sit down and watch a pressure cooker. Do we? We don't. Because work calls, children call, bedtime, wake up, go. That's how life in foreign goes. But if you buy it in a can, what can you do? Wash them. Pour them in the strainer and wash it off. Take off all the extra salt. You follow what I'm saying? And trust me, I'm telling you from experience, they're still very tasty. All right? And you can reduce the salt content there. But go over. Try it for a little bit. Try the walking. Try it. Ignore harm in trying. Get your little kids, the Bria and the Rhea and the Enoch and the Esau, and all of them. Take them and walk with them. Walk down the road and come back. Go by the field and run about with the kids. They run on while you walk 2 laps. You know what I'm saying? You have a little dog, put a leash on it and walk down the road. You have a cat, put a leash on it and walk down the road. Do whatever you have to do, but get in that exercise. You live up the road by the hotel, walk down to work, put on comfortable shoes and walk. You work down there by the train station, get off 2 stops earlier and walk. It is not hard. You have to try it. You should. Because when you start to get up in 60 and 70 and you're at the doctor, fortunately in England is free health care even though you have to wait. But in some countries, every time you go to the doctor, it's 3,500, 2,500, 5,000, 200, 100. They're just taking the money for fun because they can't believe you wait till you get sick to come to me. Pay me. The doctor drives his nice Range Rover and lives in his mansion. Then you grudge the doctor because you choose to pay him enough money, because you choose not to take care of your health. Whose fault is it? To be forewarned is to be what? Yes, you don't have to grudge the doctor when you could take care of your health. Take care of your health and you don't have to see the doctor as often. Maybe for a little checkup. Does that make sense? It's the reality. I'm telling the truth and putting it to you as real as I possibly can. So, you know, sometimes we got to talk about the numbers. These numbers here are very important. Let's go back to some numbers. What is the ideal blood pressure, everyone? 120 and 80 for those in online land who wanted to bash. No problem. What is the blood pressure that over that you have high blood pressure? Good. I like it. How much grams of salt maximum for adults? Children? Good stuff. How many minutes of exercise in a week you should get? 150. Yes? 5 days a week. You can rest on the Saturdays, all good. Wash your clothes on a Sunday, all good. Monday to Friday, do the walking. What do you say? All right. Here's another number for you. No, it's going to hit home, unfortunately. Get your tape measure. put it around your navel. And if your belly measurement all around there is more than 102, it's increasing your risk of cardiovascular problems. Yes? For men. And for 88 for women. So men, we have to work on those bellies. Women, you have to work on them bellies. But we just gave you the answer. What is the answer? Walking for 150 minutes a week, eating proper food, cutting down the fatty content. You follow me? And you would never be rivaling 102 centimeters around your waist. You would never be rivaling 88. You know, we look at the pop stars on TV, and them pop stars, you think that you see them in McDonald's sitting down? No way. They have personal trainer. Instead of getting 150 minutes, they get 300. Yes? Instead of eating rubbish like us, gobbling down as much fat as we can, they have people with proper dietitians. That is why when you look at them, oh, they look so good. They look good because they work on it. Huh? How many of them live to a ripe old age and still acting? Why? Because they're doing the things that we should be doing. Instead of us watching them, we need to do it for ourselves. Yes or no? Talk to me. Of course. Of course. Don't look at the lady and say she's wearing a swimsuit and she's 70. What is your problem? What happened to you? Wear yours too. Oh, you're afraid to wear yours, huh? Because of all the wobbly bits. Why do you have wobbly bits? Yes, you had children, I know. And that is totally understandable. And without women, this world will not work. However, if wobbly bits come with extra fat, because you choose to eat bad, because you choose not to exercise, are you following me? Whose fault is that? Talk to me. Whose fault? You could only point your finger at yourself. I'm talking to me too, you know. I'm not just talking to you. Talking to you in internet land. Because you had 2 and 3 children don't mean you can't look sexy again. Walk. Eat properly. How come the movie stars could look good all the time and you can't? They're just doing what you need to do. Don't avoid that purple and yellow blind. Yes? Avoid the man with the little white cap. And you people be very good. Here we go. What are the numbers for the waist for the men? Women? Don't forget it. Because if I ever come back to this church, I'm going to ask you that first out the blocks. Yes? Here we go. So, knowing your diabetic status, I've mentioned this over and over today. When you have diabetes or pre-diabetes or anything to do with diabetes and your blood pressure is up, it's very possible that the conditions could be a lot worse for you because diabetes comes with its own set of complications. And with high blood pressure, it just makes them worse. Yes? It's like having fire already and then you pour some gasoline on it. Does that make sense? Of course. Of course. What do you want, people? What do you want? What do you want? You want to be healthy, yes? What about you, madam, from Portland? The nice greenery and the enough rain and the potholes. What do you want? Yes, I was in Portland and they had more than 20 miles of pothole. Can you imagine? If you drove any faster than 30 miles an hour, you would be losing your front end in a hole. It's true, but Portland is one of the most beautiful parishes after the entire country of Barbados. That is understandable, and we accept that. We don't even have stress about that. But what do you want? Cuba, what do you want? Puerco or frijoles? Agua or aceite? Health or sickness? You have a choice. You people here are still young, believe it or not. You can see me, can't you? You can walk, can you? You are breathing, aren't you? You woke up this morning. Tell me no, you didn't wake up this morning? You are young people. I have a lady 103 years old walk into my office. I was so shocked. I had to look back at the screen. I said, what are you doing here? Why are you here? She come for a checkup. Man, I said, 103. So, okay then. All right. So I engage her a little bit. So tell me, you're one of them people that eat. No, sir. She don't touch them McDonald's and things. She cook her own food. I was just asking little questions. And do you drink water? Yes, I get 3 glasses every morning. This is a 103-year-old woman. Now look, all of us ain't gonna live to 103. Let's face it. Somebody will get hit by a bus. Some people, unfortunately, have underlying problems. They can just die off. It's a fact. And one professor in Cuba told me, Peter, ¿por qué tan saludable? Why are you always so healthy? That's what he used to ask me. You're going to die anyway. Te va a morir. Te va a morir. You are going to die anyhow. That's what he used to tell me. He said, you prefer to die healthy. I said, yes. I prefer to die healthy than to die suffering. What about you? Can you imagine? Remember, early in the statement, you don't always die when you get a heart attack. You don't always die when your foot get cut off. You don't always die when your kidneys stop working. You don't always die when you get a stroke. You don't always die when you go blind. You live with problems. Fulano, can you kindly help bring my water for me? I can't get up the stairs with that bucket with one leg. You want me to bring water? No, man, I'm busy. How about you take care of your leg? And then you wouldn't have to ask Fulano for help. Does that make sense? So the professor said, you're going to die anyway, Peter. You're going to die anyway, so you can also enjoy the cigarettes. You can also enjoy the pork. You can have a bad life. You're going to still die. That's what he used to tell me every single time. I prefer to die healthy. What about you? Of course, not a joke. Serious business. Moving on. What do you want? Do you want to be a pill popper that when I shake you, you're rattling? Huh? Pills for everything under the sun? Do you want that? Sometimes we think we want that until we get it, huh? Do you want this? Intensive care with 1 million tubes coming out your mouth because you suffered debilitating stroke, and while you had your stroke, your heart decided to pack up, and then because your heart pack up, your lungs don't work, cardiorespiratory failure with a stroke, they have to breathe for you, they have to beat heart for you, they have to do everything for you, you live in a coma for the next 3 months, and then they still pull the plug because you're making no progress. This is the reality. I don't know if you know anybody that was in intensive care. It is not a pretty sight. People do recover. A lot of them don't. And I don't know about you guys, but with all this corona business, the healthier people seem to be lasting longer, yes? The ones who eat well and get exercise, get a little corona, it bounce off and they move on. The ones who have all these underlying problems, the government say, you need a third dose. You are vulnerable. Didn't the government not say that? So wait a minute. Why are you going to put yourself in the government clutches by being in the vulnerable state? Why are you going to have high blood pressure and diabetes when you could have avoided it? Why are you going to be overweight when you could have avoided it? Does that make sense? And then you are now vulnerable. Now the government is saying, you are selecting first for that vaccine. It's you I'm going to give it to. You are vulnerable. You need help. You need a third dose. You need a booster. It is true. Because if you're vulnerable, those are the rules, aren't they? If I'm only 10 years old there. I'm not changing anything. I'm telling you exactly how it is. But they can't pick on the people who are nice and skinny and fit. Because one, you're fit. Two, you don't have the disease, so you're never going to flag up as a vulnerable person with some underlying disease. Does that make sense? Now, I'm going to give you a story I saw online. It's about a chicken. One chicken used to exercise and he used to stay very thin. Yes? The other chicken said, boy, I'm getting fat. I'm looking good. What happened at Christmas for that chicken? The fat chicken had his head taken off and was eaten on the table. And the advantage of being skinny is that he was never eaten, people. It is reality. Yes? Reality. You will laugh, but it's true. You know, one person asked me, have you ever seen a fat squirrel? Never. What do squirrels eat? Nuts. You don't see squirrels wobbling coming down the tree and could barely run. Never. You never see a fat squirrel. Ever. What do you want? What do you want? Ask yourself that. Come on. Here it comes. Here it comes. Hold on. It's coming. Yep. Ah, yes. Go back here. Let's go back to that nice pyramid there. If it comes up. One more. Here we go. Back here. It's going a little bit too slow for me. All right. That one, I don't know which one you can see online. Here we go. You should be seeing this. This is a nice pyramid. So all the bad food. No. Back in the day in the Bible, they used to eat meat here. So I'm not going to bash nobody who eat the meat. I'm just simply saying healthy choices are better. The more plant-based, the healthier, yes? So look. Down here, you have all sorts of plant-based. So you want your pyramid, daily exercise, plant-based, nuts, grains, vegetables, right up. All that bad stuff, even if you get a smidgen of it, it's not going to do you nothing. But if you eat it every day, it's going to do you a lot of bad stuff. So try to avoid it. Try to get these things as often as possible. Nobody say that if you want to do whatever you want to do and bite your bad pizza full of salt once a month. But you imagine people actually eat. Look, there's some people that I know that they go to McDonald's every day. Every day, McDonald's get a piece of their salary. Every day. Because McDonald's have breakfast, McDonald's have lunch, and McDonald's have dinner. And now McDonald's is trying to reach into the Adventist person's pocket with their plant-based. McDonald's said, man, I not reaching them healthy people. They can't get their money. That's what McDonald's said. So they now go plant-based menu. We're going to get you to spend some money with us. That's what it is. People out there to make money, and if you're wise enough to give it to them, or foolish enough, that is your business. A word to the wise is what? Enough. Who are those who have ears, let them do what? And to be forewarned is to be what? All right. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at the end of this presentation. I sincerely hope that you understood what we talked about with high blood pressure. I tried to put it as real as possible so that you people don't think that it's some fairy tale land we live in when we deal with high blood pressure. It's a silent killer. When it creeps upon you, you only find out when you start to get symptoms, when you end up in the hospital. So why not check your numbers? Why not get your blood pressure checked? Why not trade in a road trip McDonald's for a blood pressure machine? Yes? Why not trade in a video game which costs hundreds of pounds for 2 blood pressure machines, one for your neighbor and one for yourself? Huh? Why not? Take your blood pressure. It'll be good. You find out where you are, you know your numbers, you're good to go. There's always this Bible text that reigns supreme, and it talks about knowing that your body is a what? A temple. So if you know that your body is a temple that belongs to God, you're not going to treat nothing that belongs to God bad, are you? Talk to me. No. If you know that your body is a temple and it belongs to the Lord, you are not going to treat it badly. Therefore, you're going to treat it good by doing all the things to keep that temple nice and respectable. Yes or no? Of course. And it is in 1 Corinthians 6, 19 and 20. And it says, what? Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit, which is in you? Talk to me. Whom you have received from God. You are not your own. You are bought with a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. And all the different verses in the Bible, different versions, say the same thing. Your body don't belong to you. The Lord give you that body. So why you can disrespect it with a ton of salt, no exercise, fatty food, treat it bad and then wonder what happened. Do something about it. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time.
I did say that he was very animated, right? Right, but very engaging, and I'm sure we had some questions online. Can you take two? Anybody, any question in church, or all the questions that you have thought about?
The Fitbits? Oh yes, the Fitbits. Look, first of all, let's go commercial. And then we go away from commercial. So, you pay some money for that. Whoever comes up with the best Fitbit that doing the most, get the most money. But Fitbits have a use, and if you use them wisely, they can tell you how much steps you do in a day. You know, you only do 300. It tells you. I have a Fitbit, and sometimes when I'm sitting down, because sometimes I could work for 10 hours straight, it tells me get up and move around. Can you imagine the Fitbit knows that you've been sedentary? Can you imagine that? It can tell you how much steps, it can tell you what your pulse rate is, it can tell you a whole lot of things. So they're not a bad idea to have a Fitbit. Not bad. Well, I have not had one that had a blood pressure. Maybe you have a more advanced one, yes? But what you can do is get a blood pressure machine, put it on, see what that blood pressure says, and then check the one on the Fitbit. If they're kind of similar, maybe. But blood pressure machines and automated machines are not as reliable. That's the first thing. But they kind of get close. The best one is the one when you pump it up and somebody listens to your blood vessel as soon as the blood runs through. That's the most accurate, yes? But how do you do it? You take your blood pressure on the right hand, and then you take your blood pressure on the left hand with the automated. If the blood pressure, let's say, is more than 15, the number at top, then the other one, you do it again. Then you go with the blood pressure that's the highest out of the two. You stick to that arm. Then you do it once, then you do it again, and you always retake the reading the second time. You follow that? More or less, but it's all online. You can figure it like that, but that's when you're using the automated machines. They're not as reliable, but that's what we have nowadays, yes? And it kind of give you a good indication. Any other questions? Well, kidney stone is not exactly in the realm of high blood pressure, but let's talk a bit about kidney stones. First of all, kidney stones are formed when you have certain accumulation of salts in your blood that as they filter through the kidney, they accumulate and form a solid rock. Sometimes your blood is not alkaline enough or not acid enough. You have to form a certain pH. And having large amounts of fluid, healthy amounts daily, especially water, will reduce the chances of you forming kidney stones. But if you have a predisposition to that, if you finally get one of those stones out and you look and they can actually analyze it and see what it's made of, you can then plan to avoid them in the future. Okay? Oh. Well, madam, you have a large stone in your kidney. It's going to probably only get bigger. So avoiding the operation may be unavoidable. Because if it gets bigger, it can cause bleeding, it can be a source of infection, it can be all these things, a lot of pain. I suggest having a good chat with the urologist to help them to resolve that stony issue. Not a problem. What else do we have out there?
Right. Online, thank you very much, Doctor. Very informative, very exciting. Somebody says, what about the wrist BP machines? Are they good to use? I don't know. This must be a Bayesian writing. What's this?
Hold on, let me put my glasses on. What did it say? Mary? Is Shafet bad for me? The person is asking if Shafet is bad for them. No, look. I am not going to bash nobody, Shafet, because I don't want to come down to Barbados and they lock me up.
What's Shafet?
Shafet is like KFC in Jamaica.
Oh,
it's
right.
a fast food restaurant. If you go to Shafet and all you're doing is eating a big set of greasy fried food full of salt, you answer that question. If you go to Shafet and you're ordering a salad that have no dressing on it, no salt, none of these things, you answer that question. If you go to Shafet and you're drinking only fizzy drinks, you answer that question. If you go to Shafet and leave your good old cooked food at home, you answer that question. Is Shafet bad for you? You answer that.
Yes, Kevin, it is bad for you. I didn't say that. I'm Jamaican, so I'm okay with that. Right, thank you, Doc, for this
Not a problem.
very, very insightful presentation. Oh, somebody sent me another message. See the message he's sending at the front of Pastor Smith. Can't see the message he's sending at the front of church. Right, okay, right. Which one of the message?
Which message was that?
Which, can you type again for me the message that was asked? Okay, right. Anyway, thanks, Dr. Roach, for this
Anytime.
very insightful, very informative presentation. Am I right in saying that you were? So I'm going to go and measure my waist. If it passes 102 cm, I'm in trouble. Yeah. So I just need to know that anyway. Let me not talk about that for another time. But thank you very much, and we welcome him back again, right? Right. From morning until afternoon. Right. Okay. Fine. I will readjust the preaching plan just to have you again, and I'm sure he's a better preacher than he's a doctor, by the way. But he's an outstanding doctor. Just to let you know. Thank you, Doc, and you are welcome anytime you're available. Next week, by the way, we have Dr. David, and she's going to be talking about healthy kidneys, how to keep your kidney healthy. And then we have someone doing a presentation on the myth, some myth about cancer, all right, and how to help you to, as best as you can, to avoid getting cancer. So for the rest of the month, I'm inviting some health experts to come in and to share with us online, and those who are with us in church. But again, Doc, thank you very much for the sacrifices you've made. I don't know if Charmaine is watching. Thank you, Charmaine, for allowing Doc to come and give in, and Peter Jr., thank you very much. And Mary, your sister in Barbados, thank you very much. Right. My assistant pastor, where is he? Where is he? Come on. Yes, he's going to give us a closing prayer. Yes, he hasn't done much work because we have not been doing any afternoon program, but we're going to be getting back into our afternoon programs. Thank you very much. Assistant Pastor Jordan will now give us a prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for pastors for preaching, and thank you for all the people for listening when he's talking, and thank you for the people for coming here and listening when the new guy is here. In Jesus' precious name, amen.
And Lord, come back, Jordan, come on. Thank you. And Lord, thank you for Jordan, and may you bless him in a very special way. For those on the PA team, we thank you for the sacrifices they have made. And for Dr. Roach, traveling all the way from close to Watford, really, to be here with us through the Croydon M25 as he travels back. Safe journey. As he travels back, we pray you'll be with him and bless his family, we pray. In Jesus' name, amen. Right, everybody, see you next week. Again, thank you for those who are online. Please come and participate for next week. All right, thank you.
Thank you.